Greetings and much blessings. Mitakuye Oyaza. Okay. This is a live stream that just came out of nowhere, basically. And I didn't have in mind to do this particular live stream. It's just that I was working on trying to put out some more uploads for this channel. And lo and behold, I was working on an upload and it ended up taking too long. Yes, it ended up taking too long, meaning that the upload was just too long. Like, I usually don't like my uploads for this particular channel longer than 1 minute. The maximum has to be 5 minutes for this particular channel. I believe with spiritual things, you have to be subtle. You don't say a lot of words. You say only what needs to be said, get the point across, and let it be at that. So, what I want to talk about this morning, I definitely could not fit it within an upload. So, here we are talking about toxic sounds. And yes, for this particular live stream, you can see that I have the color Ray, a different color. Actually, I need to change that. It's red now, but I don't believe for things that are toxic, it should be red. It should be like, I don't know, like green, right? Toxic green. There we go. That's about right. That's about right. Yeah, we're going to change the color to green this time. A toxic green. Observing toxic sounds. Okay. I've talked about toxicity at my other platforms many times before from the social standpoint, but talking about sound itself being toxic, that's different. 1 second. All right. So we'll just let's just look up toxic. Okay, let's see what that's about. Just the word toxic itself. What does that mean? We say it all the time, and we're going to relate this to sound. So basically, toxic is considered poisonous because, see, no, toxic is not venomous. People get that mixed up. It's a similar word, but it's not the same as toxic in regards to venom. No, toxic is something that's poisonous. It becomes venomous upon the poison being injected into you. Okay, so I guess in some ways, sound not only can show a sign of being toxic in regards to being poisonous, but it also can have the sense of being venomous too, in the way that sound has been what injected into us. You know, not only sound that we feel on us, but the sound that's been injected to us. And of course, your ear is a portal for some of that injection. Okay. So think about what children have to go through inside the womb of a mother, the sounds they have to listen to from the outside world, as well as from that child's mother. Think about all the sounds that child has to absorb. And of course, Roe v. Wade, that just got readdressed, if you will. Not going to speak my opinion on that, but I will say, yes, keep all that in mind in regards to this topic this morning. Yes, in regards to this topic this morning about toxic sounds, observing it. I'm just giving everyone an observation right now. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay. And don't forget the song that Britney Spears sung about toxic. Something I think in her song, she says something like, what's the hook? Let's see, trying to think what was the hook of her song. Okay. I'm addicted to you. Don't you know that you're toxic? Really? But see, a lot of us are addicted to a lot of the toxic sounds that are out here. No different than you're in the car, you're listening to something, you know it's bad music based on the words, but you like the way the beat sounds, right? Okay, you're listening to toxic sounds and even the beat. If you really knew your music, you would know the megahertz of that particular beat probably is not healthy either. Okay, all that boom, 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 all that bass and all that bass and tremble, things like that, depending on how it's adjusted, it's not healthy for you. A lot of musicians talk about it too, especially rappers. They know how to make songs that put you to sleep. They know how to make songs that make you cry. They know how to make songs that make you angry. I mean, this is part of these sounds, part of the angel of music, which I won't speak on his name, but the fallen angel, that was the angel of music, understands sound and understands that most of us don't know what toxic sound is. We don't know why we have these headaches and things like that. We think it's something that we ate or something that we drank earlier in the day. No, it's probably just the sounds that you consume yourself with. It's the people that you continue to be around. It's the people that you continue to talk to on the phone. Matter of fact, the fact that you talk to most of the people that you know on the phone instead of in person, that's toxic, okay? Because you're only hearing their sound over the phone. That's just a sound bite. You got to get in their face one day. You got to visit them one day. Avoid these sound bites. We do too many sound bites amongst each other. This pandemic has really opened that up wide open in regards to most people would rather stay inside, not go outside. Okay. So you really don't know who you know. These dating sites, that's another story. That's part of toxic sound too. But that's not really for this channel. I just kind of want to let y'all see uh how I can go with this topic, okay? But without any further ado, just thought I give everyone a sort of an introduction into this. Let's talk about really this whole idea of what it's about in regards to observing toxic sounds. And of course, I like to open up with a scripture. So let me crack into the Bible for this. We'll go there. So we'll try to just look for certain catchphrases because it's all about dealing with this. Okay. So we're going to go here and let me see, exact phrase. Yeah, I got a certain way I look up stuff. So yeah, give me a second, everyone. Let's see. All right. So sometimes it just doesn't want to do what I want it to do. Let me do this right quick here. There's a certain scripture I'm looking up. Sometimes I have to look it up one way, sometimes I look it up another way. Okay, so, all right, Romans chapter 10, verse 17, it says, so then faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. Okay, keep that in mind. Faith cometh by hearing, and hearing of the word of God. So this word of God and how this faith comes, faith is can only be delivered to you that way. So does faith come through toxic sounds? I don't think that's the case, people. I don't think that's the case. Okay? I don't think that's the case at all. Hmm. So anything outside of faith is toxic. To be honest, anything outside of faith is toxic. We need to make sure everything around us represents faithfulness. Okay? This whole world, everything that we're exposing ourselves to is a product for the most part of unfaithfulness. Even us, there's so many ways I want to go with this, but I won't. But I'd say just even with a lot of our interactions online, it's toxic. We don't have faith in even being around each other. We'd rather stay in a safe space, aka these internet portals. We don't want to meet up, and if we meet up, you might meet up with someone that's toxic. So that kind of brings you back to square one as to why you're on the internet in the first place. So someone that's going to be around you that you meet up with, they're going to be full of nothing but toxicity in the way they walk, the way they talk, the way they look, all of that. Okay. So let's do one more scripture right quick before I start to talk more about what I want to talk about today. So let me see this. All right. Do this here. Second Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. It says, "For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." Okay. See, sound itself, sound itself is representative of faith. See, unfaithful, that just means toxic sound. That's really what it means in a nutshell. Okay. People don't want to be what sound with you. They don't want to be what in tune with you. People are out of tune. That's toxic sound when there's no harmony there, when there's no good vibes there. Okay. That's part of toxic sound when you two are not in tune with each other, when you feel like the vibe is off. Like they say nowadays, you know the vibe, you feel the vibe. You already know. You know when it's not good. We know this. That's because you're observing toxic sounds. You already know what that's like. You feel it, you see it, you know it. We know this already. So all I'm just trying to get everyone to do is just to see where all this comes from. So you want to be around someone that does not have the spirit of fear. You want to be around someone that has power, love, and a sound mind, the spirit of power, the spirit of love, and in of a sound mind. Now, power, we're not talking about the TV show Power. We're not talking about that. There's a lot of toxic sounds within that TV show, but I'm not talking about that, right? Okay. But I'm just saying, just of a sound mind in regards to where faith comes from. Okay. But see, like the scripture takes it further by saying, be doers of the word, not hearers only. So you can't just hear the word, the faith, these sounds. You have to live off of that sound, okay? You got to do something about that sound. We do something about the sound when it's bad, don't we? When your head is ringing, you got a headache, you try to get something for that. You try to get some Advil, some Tylenol when your head is ringing a little bit, don't you? How come you can't do something about good sounds when you hear that good harmony? Don't just sit back and yoga and meditate. That's cool. Sometimes certain sounds make you want to get up and do something. Unfortunately, people rather be motivated off toxic sounds. You hear people be motivated to real bad rap music. I didn't say rap music. I said real bad rap music. Where they talking about killing and dealing and stealing. And, oh, that's gonna make me play a better football game. You see, like I just don't get some people sometimes. Okay, because maybe they just don't know. People wake up in the morning thinking they're going to be motivated off somebody that sells drugs, and they talk about it in the rap songs, and that motivates you to go to work and make a few extra dollars that day. Like, oh man, this real hustle, that's gonna make me get up. And you listening to this first thing in the morning and you're exposing your children to that before you get in the car, right? Just all these different toxic sounds. Ladies, when a man wakes up, don't give him toxic sound by talking with a real bad attitude, a bad energy, overbearing. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be that way. You want to be soft and peaceful with him, soft spoken, or even just not saying much at all, just saying less, just being there for him, hugging him, holding him, uh, make sure his breakfast ready. Make sure his shower's ready. The bathroom's ready so he can get in the shower. Get ready for the day. Make sure the home is tidiness. The tidiness of your home is also connected to sound, people. They said cleanliness is close to godliness. Well, the cleanliness in the sound, notice when you have a cluttered house, the sound can't get through properly. The sound doesn't flow right. You got to have your home always like an open space. Don't have it cluttered. That way sound can get through. And it's easy for you to detect when something shouldn't be there because your home is cleaner and sound is able to get through the home even more. So you probably never heard nobody tell you this. But everybody, people have known these things. Like it's facts. Like when you have a home that's cleaner, not only does it feel cleaner and it looks cleaner, but it's cleaner in regards to the audibles. Like when you speak, like you can hear how clean the home is, if that makes sense, people. Okay. So let's go here with more on what I want to talk about in regards to toxic sounds, observing toxic sounds. Now y'all see that within 15 minutes of this live stream, why I could not make this an upload for this particular channel. It would have been too long. It would have been way too long. Okay, so let's go and talk more about the toxic sounds. Just want to kind of give everyone something to think about because you do hear a lot about toxic sounds a lot. You even hear about this idea of certain types of sleep level you need to have because sleep also is part of how you deal with sound, right? Yes, sleep is part of how you deal with sound. You have things in regards to, tapping into your true alpha. Not talking about all this personality stuff. No, that's not what I mean by alpha. But they have this thing called alpha sleep or alpha rest. It's kind of like when you tap into a certain phase of sleeping, they call that tapping into your alpha. I'll talk about that later. They have this thing called tapping into your delta. I'll talk about that later. But all this is based on you having sound sleep and being less exposed to toxic sounds. Okay. But let's go here. Okay. But yes, sound sensitivity. Okay. What is that? What is that? Basically, this is what I mean by sound sensitivity. As you become more spiritual, you get more sensitive to the noise around you. When I say sound sensitivity, y'all, when I say sound sensitivity, I don't mean sensitivity to the sound. I mean that your sound to the sensitivity coming from the noise. Okay? Like you listen to that sensitivity that comes from that noise. Not necessarily sensitive to the sound. You sound to the sensitivity. Okay? The more spiritual I get, the more my ears ring to the faint sound of like a microwave, the ceiling fan, the TV, the washing machine, etc. So, sometimes I wake up with a slight earache or a headache. I just try like to not have a lot of bad sounds around me when I go to sleep. It's got to be something more peaceful. I'll talk about what that means. Okay? Just having sound. You should still have some type of sound around you when you go to sleep, but just not bad sounds. Okay? TVs are not good sounds. Okay? But yeah, sound sensitivity also is it's the result of one getting up to speed in their life. Like when you're sensitive or when you sound to the sensitivity, you become more in tune with the world around you. You're more sound. You're listening to the little things. You're listening to the little things. You're not sensitive to the sound. Your sound to the sensitivity. That means you're ahead of the sensitivity. Literally, you make yourself ahead of the speed of sound in many ways. So that's what I mean by getting up to speed. Okay. So a lot of different spiritual gurus, they talk about being ahead of the sound, not just paying attention to the sound, but being ahead of the sound. You got to be the lightning before the thunder is heard. Okay. You got to be the lightning that shows up before the thunder shows up, people. Okay. We wake up talking a certain way too. Speaking of toxic sounds, we wake up, we wake up to people talking a certain way. We wake up even talking a certain way. I try to make sure that I do not wake up talking a certain way. I try my best. So for me at least that means saying less. Okay, that means saying less. I'm the type that like when I wake up, I don't want to talk a lot. Let's just enjoy the moment. I just woke up. I'm trying to get my uh my biomechanics together. Still got to stretch, still got to get up and walk, still got to yawn, still got to thank the creator for waking up in the morning. Things like that. Okay. Um, Bill collectors are part of that toxic sound. They call you first thing in the morning, don't they? Yeah. But we also wake up to a lot of different sounds like police sirens, fire fighter sirens, you name it. We wake up listening to these different noises like that. We wake up listening to traffic. Uh, if you live by an airport, okay, so yes, I feel sorry for those that still live by the London Heathrow Airport out there in London. Yeah, you guys wake up every day to airplanes, but I guess since they don't want to move from there, they've gotten used to the sound of airplanes. See, over time, a lot of aircraft manufacturers have made sure that their jet engines sound better when they take off, and some of them do sound great when they take off. Oh yeah. But just think about this. Even the birds in the city, they don't even chirp like they do out in the country. They said the birds in the country, they sound better than the birds in the city. The birds in the city have to chirp much louder in the morning due to the hustle and bustle of traffic. But out in the country, the birds, they sound very pleasant, like in the morning. I mean, or just move out to a smaller town, you'll see this too. Like you'll hear the birds, they just sound better in the morning. Just a gentler chirp. And I find that a lot of people that live out in the country, they talk more gentle with each other because there's not a lot of traffic noise. There's not a lot of exposure to other forms of toxic sounds. The essence of like the city life doesn't try to plague a lot of the tranquility that's around you in those parts. Okay, but yeah, sound basically it's a form of particulate matter. Okay, and believe it or not, your dreams and nightmares are associated with those sounds that you have absorbed. So that's why I mentioned so much about sleep earlier, just a few minutes ago, because like you want sound sleep and you want to make sure that you're not inundated with certain sounds that could affect your sleep, which causes you to have a nightmare. You try your best to have a decent day so that doesn't affect you when you go to sleep because you literally absorb those sounds and your mind tends to replay those sounds back when you're in your fullest stage of sleep. Okay. So your deepest stage of sleep, that's when your eye starts to do the rapid eye movement or what they call REM sleep. And there's no telling what your REM sleep could be like if you've been absorbing a lot of toxic sounds during the day. And even in the evening, if you're dealing with toxic people that live in your house. And that's why I believe that a lot of the households are so destroyed now because we don't have stable homes. We don't have parents that are active together raising their children. We don't even have families. See, it's really supposed to be families raising their children, not necessarily the parents. So that way, the parents themselves can get the right kind of sleep and the children themselves get the right kind of sleep too. Everybody sleeps sound. But no, one has to sleep with somebody making noise one way or another, whether it's the parents arguing or the children causing a lot of noise. And that's just because the family structure, especially in the western part of the world, has been destroyed. Okay. So destroyed is the peacefulness of the sounds at home for the most part. The best way to do it is just to be a peaceful person and you make sure that you run into a peaceful person. It's that simple. That's the only way to solve this problem. And I don't care what it is, it must not affect or disturb your peace, disturb your waters. Okay. So, but yeah, this is why, you know, when you get around somebody that talks about sound sleep, like that should really make you think, like, what do they mean by sound sleep? Now, stay away from the person that tells you whatever makes you sleep at night. They're just talking from a toxic standpoint. When they say that, When they try to tell you sarcastically whatever makes you sleep at night, just think that no, that's what actually makes them sleep at night. Keep that in mind. Hmm. Your brain, it conducts itself based on sound that it receives, and the frequency. Uh, your brain conducts itself on the sound that it receives, which is the frequency, and that causes a vibration. It will determine your level of intelligence too. So, you got to remove the bad frequencies and that are causing bad vibrations out of your mind, okay? In order to increase your intelligence. And this will also affect your health in a positive way if you do that too. So, and this is why your children could be a certain way if you have them around bad sounds, especially while they were in the womb during pregnancy. And so, we can't talk about toxic sounds without mentioning cars, not just like the loud speaker boxes from cars, but even the sound from the tailpipe of cars. How some cars sound so loud, so obnoxiously loud, obnoxious with their toxic. Okay. See, even though the auto industry uh pays attention to sound too, it's not what you think. But yes, keep in mind, even the industry pays attention to sound. Why you think that more expensive cars sound better than cheaper cars? Keep that in mind. Most cheaper cars have engines that have the size of 4 cylinders or less. And usually engines with less than 4 cylinders, they're cheaper and they sound worse. They keep trying to make them sound better, but they're inherently engines smaller than 4 cylinders, even 4 cylinders themselves, they are inherently imbalanced engines. Yes, so even those high revving motorcycles, most of them have 4 cylinders. Well, because a lot of manufacturers of those type of motorcycles wanted to make a more numerous market appearance with a certain sport bike that everyone could afford. So you have to give them 4 cylinders with that type of motorcycle. And more people can have the opportunity of going racing. So, so that's why you see a mass population of motorcycle owners. They do have 4 cylinder motorcycles, but you also have those Harley Davidson people too, who add more to the toxicity. They have what they call 2 cylinder motorcycles, or AKA V twins. They sound worse than even the 4 cylinder motorcycles. Okay, just the whole sound is worse. Now you have more exotic motorcycle manufacturers who try to make certain motorcycle engines like those smoother, sound better, but they don't make as many of those type of motorcycles. Like, for example, a motorcycle company called Ducati. Okay, so just saying. But with that said, not to digress too much. Uh, the mass market of people with cars, most of the populace have cars that are cheaply built and with cheaper engines, which is the 4 cylinder or engines lesser than 4 cylinders. Okay. Um, like I said, these type of engines are inherently imbalanced. Once again, it's about being balanced in sound. So your car engine should be balanced in its sound. Okay. And that affects the quality in your system. Think about the fact that every time you jump in your car, and the sound of the engine when you turn the car on, that's affecting your inner waters. Your body is made of 70% water. And those megahertz coming off the vibration of that cheaply built engine is affecting your inner waters, people. Keep that in mind. See, wealthier people, they don't get cars with 4 cylinders or less. Okay. Now you may have those green conscious type of people, they call themselves rich people, whatever. Those are far few in between. Most wealthy people, they get cars with more than 8 cylinders because the larger cylinder displacement of that car, the more balanced that engine is going to be. Okay. Now, there's an asterisk Cars with 5 and 6 cylinders. I've had a car with 5 cylinders. I miss that car. But these type of cars with 5 or 6 cylinders, albeit inline 5 cylinders, inline 6 cylinders, these engines were more made for racing, which is why you don't see a lot of these type of engines massively produced for consumers. And if they're sort of massively produced, they're made for more premium cars like Audis and BMWs. Audis are known for their 5 cylinders. BMWs are known for their 6 cylinders. And Volvo used to make 5 cylinders on a massively produced level, but they stopped. They went down to 4 cylinders. Okay. And the 5 cylinders that Volvo used to make, they're nice and racy, but they're very expensive to maintain to this day. But, you know, here nor there. Okay. But like I said, trying to get back more to what I mean by this whole sound. Richer people get cars with 8 cylinders or more because they know they sound better. They have a better harmonics to it. They have a better vibration to it. They sound smoother. They jump in those cars, that engine is going to sound pristine versus a person getting into a cheaper car and that engine is going to sound like rubbish. This is also, to me, why personally I would avoid a used car from a wealthier person because that wealthier person, the way they deal with sound, they know that the engine has a shelf life of a certain amount of miles. They know that it's going to depreciate over time. It's not worth them to continue to keep trying to fix on that engine. They'll pass it down to a lesser party who cannot even afford to fix the engine on that car anyway. So you're thinking, oh, I'm driving around in a nice Bentley, but the Bentley has almost 60 to 100,000 miles on it. It don't sound as harmonious as it used to. It could be, I guess, a more bonus for your life because now you're getting into a car with more cylinders that's more balanced, but you're getting a car of that type that has a depreciated engine. I'm just saying. So wealthier people, they don't buy cars with those type of larger engines and keep them. Like they either restore them or they don't keep them long. Why you think there's a lot of new cars at dealerships, used car dealerships? Like the rich people don't keep their cars like that for too long because they want to stay in this harmonious stage of where the car is brand new, pristine, inside and out. Yes, inside and out, literally, because they want to like have a certain harmonious, a certain harmonious way with their life, even with their cars. So a lot of cars y'all see that are more balanced. They have a more balanced what interior, exterior, all that. It does something to the eye. When you walk out to a car that's raggedy, you're literally looking at bad particulate matter of sound affecting your eyeballs. Where you live at is affecting your eyeballs. The sounds and the vibration that is coming back to your eyes. Like literally, your environment is affecting your inner waters, people. Okay. I know this sounds like a lot and it's real deep, but it is. I'm just trying to make it to where y'all can skim on the surface and get an idea of what I'm talking about. Okay. So that's why, even in my own personal life, every day I'm striving to make changes to better my environment, better the car I drive, better the clothes I wear, the food I eat, the things I listen to, the women I be around, the brothers I fellowship with, if I have guys I fellowship with, uh, all that affects harmony, the balance, the sound. It's about the people that you talk to. They should be more motivational, more inspirational. They shouldn't be in your ear with bad harmonics. Okay. So back in the day, just kind of still talking a little more about these cars and how this affects, toxic sounds. Okay. Uh, Wealthier people back in the day, they were judged on the amount of cylinders they had in their car. Because the more cylinders you had in your car, as I said earlier, it results in a more balanced engine. So that larger engine with more cylinders, it became it. Those type of engines are smoother, okay, and there's more positive feedback with those type of engines. And so, yes, when you see people of certain wealth, you're not going to get them drive. You're not going to see most of them driving in an economy car. 1 second. Yeah, that's all a smoke screen. When you see someone that claims to be rich but they're like on this whole health conscious, wealth conscious kick with the car, trying to save the ozone. That's all smoke screen. Okay, it's all smoke screen. Even with the electrification of cars. Now, a car can be electrified, okay? Nothing wrong with a car electrified, but just an all electric car, there's a few problems with that, okay? So, just saying, okay? So, I'm gonna just say it. It's. I'm gonna just say this. It's an irony that a lot of the wealthy people they scratch their head when they see someone like Elon Musk. I'm just saying, because right now Elon Musk is the richest person in the world right now. Okay, but he's everything opposite of what you would expect out of someone that's really rich, for good or for bad. I'm just saying. Okay, I'm just being indifferent. I'm just observing right now, people. Um, I'd say this though, listen to less modern music. The megahertz have been changed. Listen less to modern people. Their megahertz have changed. Once again, listen less to modern music. The megahertz have been changed. Listen less to modern people. Their megahertz have changed. So you get it? What has been changed versus what has changed. What has changed is based on what has been changed. Come on, get it, people, get it, get it. Trying to talk to y'all, trying to talk to y'all. Okay. Uh, but see, here's the deal. Here's the deal. So I'm trying to allude back somewhat to the electric cars, sort of, because this is also affecting our harmony. Okay. The human interaction and experience in life is based on sound. Otherwise, you'll go crazy. What you think solitary confinement is for? Okay. Because worse than bad sound is no sound. Electric cars don't have sound. Get it? See, all these cars going electric is good if they have sound to it still. But if those kind of cars don't have sound at all, that's a bad idea. Everything in this world and life has to have sound. Everything. You can't have something without sound. It could be quiet, but even quiet doesn't mean without sound, people. An owl is very quiet when it flies, but you still know that it flies. You can still know of its presence. It still gives off certain sounds. It still gives off a certain vibration given the way it flaps its wings. Less detectable, but still that way. Like, so when militaries go to war, they try their best what not to be detected, to be less of sound. So actually in the mind of the stratagem of the military, it's ideal that they are toxic to the enemy in regards to not having sound for them to to detect. Okay. But yeah, in regards to these cars being quiet because they're going electric, like Rolls Royces, they're quiet already and they're not even electric. So like a Rolls Royce becoming electric, it's not a far fetch for us. But even Rolls Royce still has to have sound in their cars. They talk about it. They said no, our cars are known for being quiet, but they still got to have sound because even their latest car, which is the new Rolls Royce Ghost, the latest version of it, which is not electric by the way, but still quiet. But it got so quiet that Rolls Royce had to add extra sound to that car because they were testing the car and they refined that car to such a degree that when you was riding in that Rolls Royce Ghost, you could not hear anything. It's like I got to hear something. And I know for sure, I don't know about y'all, but growing up, when I was going to school, see, I grew up in the era when I was going to school where there was still a lot of gasoline buses uh, versus diesel buses. Like the diesel school buses, they showed up later on, okay? But before the diesel buses really took off, the diesel school buses, that is, there were a lot of gasoline powered school buses. And the gasoline powered school buses, they were quiet. You didn't even know the engine was running. We would be sitting at a red light and we'd be thinking, like, should we talk to the bus driver? Like, why don't we hear the engine? You know, then you get into the diesel powered school bus, and oh yeah, you can hear the diesel engine because you know the diesel engine has more torque and stuff like that. But you know, but ironically, full circle, a lot of schools now are having these electric school buses show up, and they're all quiet. And I guess they put these signs, whether they're colored blue or green, all over the school bus, like, okay, it's an electric bus, so you're not going to hear it. But now they have to have detectors. They have to have a certain frequency go off so you can hear the electric school bus come by, just in case they're getting around someone that is visually impaired. This is also true of electric metro buses. But still, once again, it just adds to this toxicity of how we have to detect things based on unnatural aspects. So, but even our homes, last but not least, I got a few more things I want to talk about. Just want to give out enough information for everybody to digest. Um, our homes are not even built for sound. They're not. Why is it that? Why is it that they don't want sonic booms from airplanes to be over land? Okay, why is that? See, they say like the sonic boom of like a jet fighter is due to the deafening noise and how it vibrates the home. But once again, our homes are not built for sound because those same homes have paper thin walls to where everybody can hear what you're saying anyway. Even what I'm saying right now, right? Even what I'm saying right now. And those paper thin walls, they're they can easily make your home vibrate. But this is also why a lot of homes, especially in the United States, are not built for earthquakes. But every home, or just about every home in Japan, they've had to build for earthquakes. Okay. This is also one of the reasons why, like with bullet trains in Japan, why they're still some of the smoothest trains in the world, because they were actually built for earthquakes. They were built to be smooth, despite the bad vibrations. They were built to be smooth despite the bad earthquakes. Now, depending on the magnitude of the earthquake, these trains are designed to stop dead in their tracks too if it gets too bad. But if it's just a smooth magnitude earthquake, those bullet trains will just literally ride over those earthquakes like it is just another magic carpet. I kid you not. Even if the rail tends to kind of wobble a little bit without actually breaking in half and causing the train to derail, that bullet train will still sail over that track very smoothly, unlike any other high speed rail in the world. Okay. But yeah, one other thing I want to leave y'all with in regards to these toxic sounds. All right. One thing I want to leave y'all with for sure is here's a positive hack, if you will, depending on where you live. Like instead of waking up early in the morning, like you hear everybody tell you, like you hear everybody else tell you to do, instead of waking up early in the morning, wake up mid morning. Like most of the morning, if you think about it, if you really think about it, it consists of it consists of everybody rushing to school or trying to get to work on time, if you will. So a lot of noise is taking place then. Some people get up even in the twilight hours to start their day. But still, this is disturbing the peace that should be there in the first place. I'd say this: you wake up mid morning. Yes, if you wake up mid morning, everybody gonna be gone by then because they'll be going to work or going to school. Yes, they'll be going to work or going to school. So you're up at a time when everybody is gone. I think that's great if you ask me. But if you still, I guess, choose to wake up early in the morning, just wake up early in the morning, then go right back to sleep. After so long, maybe go out to do a walk or a jog or an exercise or two, or if you do have some work assignments to do or some homework to do because you do work at home or you're doing homework at home, if you will, or school at home, do that for a few hours, go right back to sleep, and then wake up mid morning, as I just mentioned. So, and I say that because as long as you work at a job, getting up early in the morning for that early grind every day, or getting up early in the morning for school like that every day, like a 9 to 5, you're exposing yourself to certain sounds at certain times that you're not ready to take on that sound. It's kind of like the way you need to eat, like you're supposed to eat light or just not eat at all. Let your body fully digest out before you take on some more food or some more refreshments. You got to do the same thing with sound, people. You even digest sound, and if you think about it, like food and drinks, it's just another form of sound, but in a more solid form. They talked about that all the time on the Matrix, okay? Which is why they were able to deceive Cypher with the steak that he thought was a steak, but it wasn't a steak. It was just fake sound, fake steak. Get it? Okay? But all I'm just trying to say is getting healthier, avoiding certain toxic sounds, it might just require you working less hours or working at an or it might require you to work at an additional job that has less bad noise. So basically at your main job, if you know it's a lot of bad noise there, you're gonna have to cut back your time that you're working there. Okay. And if you know you got to keep the bills paid, I guess, which is another form of bad sound, toxic sound, just even the phrase of you got to keep the bills paid. Well, just take on an additional job that's less toxic with the sound, less of a workload, less labor, or less exposure to bad sounds, bad people. Get a side job like that because your health is wealth. But see, here's the catch. It's not based on what you eat. Everybody says that you are what you eat. It's not based on what you eat. It's what you hear and it's what you feel. Your tongue feels, people. You say it's taste. No, it's what it actually feels. It's what your tongue feels. And what you eat is just reflective of all that. Okay. Or it's just like it's a result of that. Okay. Either way. So why you think certain things aren't good for you to eat due to the stress of that animal or vegetation during the time it was harvested? Maybe that animal or plant was exposed to bad sound. Keep that in mind. Because yes, stress, vegetation, or stressed livestock during or prior to being harvested, that affects the quality of that particular product, whether plant or animal. It's going to affect the quality of that food. It might have to get it might have to get recalled. You know what I'm saying? Certain foods get recalled all the time. Bad sounds. Okay? Bad sounds. But with that said, I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day. And I shall be back with another one just like this one. Y'all continue to be blessed.